welcome again to Wildfire, Tell a Vision for Women. Our guest today is Janie Rezner. Janie is an artist and a musician and a spiritual feminist warrior and a writer. And she is going to be offering an amazing gift, combining all those talents that will be coming up right now.
Sing a song to the mother, sing a song to the earth, sing a song of hope and joy, a song of rebirth. Growing hope swirls around us in spite of darkened skies, held fast on our mother's lap. We know her love will be revived. Let all who hear rejoice again. We rise up to the call, confronting evil with the truth. We open a door for all. Sing a song to the mother, sing a song to the earth, sing a song of hope and joy, a song of rebirth. When the world was at peace and love did reign, when we dwelt in the land of the sacred and revered the gift of life, when we loved our Mother Earth, we listened to the wisdom of our grandmothers. My name is Janie Rezner. I also write and paint under the Indian name Oquaka, which means yellow banks. This name is taken from the little town nestled on the banks of the Mississippi River, where my mother and her mother before her for 4 generations grew up. I am a mother and a daughter and a grandmother. The words I bring to you speak to my awakening to the pain and horror of the world and the re-emergence of the sacred feminine. This birthing began just 24 years ago, when my truth sprang forth 24 years ago. There was no Gaia bookstore. Other than Mary, there were no images of the feminine as sacred in my world. The word goddess was unheard of. And yet she emerged, strong and clear, singing from her heart, speaking truth. Oh, it's time to wake up, everybody. Shake your sleepy heads and look around. See who is beside you. See who is around you. Oh, it's time to step right down to the ground. See the light softly shining. Do you recognize the scene? Oh, it's time to stop the play. It's time to stop the drama. It's time to take a look at the dream. Oh, I see you sitting right there before me. We look deep into eyes without a sound, and I feel my spirit move with you. connection, and I wonder if my feet still touch the ground. Oh, the shadows, they begin to fall away as holy light fills up the scene, and we see the hand of God shaping life before us, and we know that we've been living in a dream, and we see the hand of God shaping life before us, and we know that we've been living in a dream. I came into this life in September of 1933, outside the little country town of Biggsville, Illinois, where my dad, Jay, was a farmer. He farmed 160 acres on the same land that his father, George Rezner, and his father before him, and his father before him had farmed. I guess we could say that my brother Howard, who's 12 years older than I am, and I could have rightly been called fifth-generation farmers if we'd stayed on the land. It seems the spark of life directed us elsewhere. We raised corn and soybeans and alfalfa on the farm. My mother raised chickens. I fed and watered the chickens and gathered eggs after school and rode my Shetland pony, Blackie, into our grassy back pastures to bring up the cows for milking, with Tippy, my little beagle hound, trailing along behind. I walked and rode the tractor as a child beside my gentle and silent dad, a dad who never said a mean thing to me, who never scolded me. I remember when I was 11 or 12, feeling a great tenderness toward my dad as I helped him shovel wheat from our wagon into a boxcar after his sobering diagnosis of angina heart disease by our doctor. I have been singing all of my life, for I was inspired by listening to my mother's beautiful alto voice. My mother, Zelda, who was 40 years old when I was born, was extraordinarily talented and capable and beautiful. Everything she touched was made beautiful by her hand. And she called a spade a spade. She modeled a lot for me. Our house was beautiful on the inside. She painted the walls all herself and made lovely doll clothes for my doll. She cooked delicious meals and made butter and hosted elegant dinner parties. She also took care of a big garden and canned in that steamy kitchen on hot summer days. I remember the rows and rows of jars in our basement filled with string beans and beets and tomatoes and peaches and cherries and applesauce. My mother made the best applesauce. She'd say, "Run downstairs and bring up a jar of applesauce for the next meal." And I would. I came home from high school one day to find my 58-year-old mother standing high on scaffolding, painting the walls and ceiling in the stairwell above the stairs at the end of our living room. My mother lived just 50 miles from me all my adult life as I raised my children in Davenport, Iowa. And when she came to visit, she prepared meals and baked cookies and vacuumed and dusted and washed windows and painted walls and babysat and helped in every way possible. At age 75, she was running up and down our stairs to bring me something. And when I needed her financial help to get out of my first very difficult marriage with 3 little children to care for, she was there. In my last visit to my 85-year-old mother living with my brother in Southern California, she, in great physical pain and deep emotional despair, in her last year on earth. As I was setting out upon my own odyssey, planning a move to California from Iowa, leaving behind all that was familiar to me, she said to me with admiration in her voice, "I couldn't do what you are doing." My dear mother, generous to the end. I walk on the land where I spent my childhood and listen to the wind moving through the corn, while memories come flooding back of days I used to spend there, and then I know I'm home. My dad farmed the land. I would drive the tractor and ride my pony Blackie out to fetch the cows. Dad didn't talk much. We were silent partners. We loved the land, our home. My home in Illinois is calling to me, calling to me, calling to me. My home in Illinois is calling to me, calling to me, come home. I hear my mother's voice humming in the kitchen, tones so rich and deep, I would stand in awe. Oh, how I wish she would sing again. Oh, I miss my home. My mother's life was heavy with the pain she carried, the grief of isolation, and no one there to hear. Still, she always saw the colors in the rainbow, and in her heart there was a song. I wonder what she thinks, if she hears me now. For the music in my heart, it really comes from her. She was always proud of her little girl, and I, at last, of her. My dog and I, we would roam the pastures, looking for the Indians and the trails they left. What a rich and peaceful place to grow in. Oh, I miss my home. It's been 30, no, 40, no, it's been 50 years since I left and married. And my children grew in busy city life. I've always hoped they would come to love it, the land that is our home. My home in Illinois is calling to me, calling to me, calling to me. My home in Illinois is calling to me, calling to me, come home. I'm coming home. I am. After 46 years in the Midwest and 2 husbands, I moved to Berkeley, California, and received a master's degree in clinical psychology, expecting to be a healer in the world. Instead, I began a profound spiritual journey inward, initiated by the heartbreaking separation from Ed Jackson, a Reichian therapist, a man I had come to deeply love, a man I recognized as my soulmate. The loss of the mother, i.e. the sacred feminine, crushed, by the patriarchal domination of the maternal spirit, a spirit that once filled the world with wisdom and compassion, and the subsequent devastation of our earth and her creatures was powerfully revealed to me through that crack in the cosmic egg and utterly changed my life. When Ed ended our relationship in November of 1984, I thought my heart would break and I would die. Instead, I was taken on a profound journey of the soul. I grew up in the Presbyterian Church. My images of God were male. God was he. I hadn't even noticed my exclusion from the Godhead. I was, however, awakening to the pain in the world caused by the cultural degradation of a mother's love and her attempts to protect her own children, called overprotective, suffocating, needy, by the patriarchal therapists in the world, ever furthering the repression of the maternal instinct. Once Ed and I parted, art and music and writing began to flow out of me. I went back to Iowa and recorded 90 minutes of music at the University of Iowa recording studios. I sat in a darkened 800-seat recital hall, singing my music and playing a 9-foot Steinway piano. I was in a strange and powerful place at the time. As I listened to the recording, I was swept away by its power and beauty. I had found my voice. I wanted this voice to go out into the world. Thus my CD, Oquaka Speaks, the Words and Music of Mother God, came into being. Returning to Iowa, I, who had never been an artist, continued to paint large archetypal paintings, complete with titles and sometimes verses, never correcting a painting, not knowing what I was painting until I saw it before me on the page. One of my first paintings was a life-sized, colorful figure, arms outstretched, bare breasts and feet, called the Renaissance woman. Her feet planted firmly on the ground, her breasts and womb for all to see, her left hand holding the moon and stars, her right arm, strong and earthly, her motherly side, cutting through the chaos as she rises up out of hell. It reflected my own journey so vividly. I bring you the words and music of Mother God. I moved to San Geronimo, Marin County, where I lived for 3 years in solitude, without phone or radio, creating with great intention 20 hours a day, sending each day's writings and music and art out into the afternoon mail. I sometimes saw a vision of her as I created my profound music. I began to realize I was speaking for she whose voice has not been heard for thousands of years, except in the hearts of mothers. Everything I created was of a single theme, heralding the return of the great ancestress from the depths of soul into awakening consciousness. My spirit dared to stand up in my own truth and say no more to the current paradigm I had awakened. I was outraged at the injustice and destruction happening on our beautiful planet. The sacred bond between mother and child violated, beginning from birth onward in this world run by men. I was outraged that these men violated the sacredness of life and dared to do anything. I was Mother God speaking out, and I was furious. For the earth to be brought back into balance and healed requires the return of the mother. It requires the return of compassion and wisdom and nurturing and reverence for life. It requires our reawakening to our divinity. And it requires our standing up and speaking truth. Today, as life comes my way, a rainbow hovers above me to light my way beneath the clouds that surround me. Today, as life comes my way, I reach out for a star to guide me through the stormy seas that surround me. I know that the night will still be long and full of loneliness, and yet in my heart there is a place of that always is and always was and ever shall be. Our connection and bonding to our mother shades the rest of life for each of us. This is our primary relationship. All other relationships, including our relationship to the world and how we feel in it, are built upon the foundation of this one, and it begins before birth. The effect for the child from being deprived of primary bonding and essential closeness to the mother creates fear in the cells themselves. How many addictions spring from this basic anxiety? How much rage? How many lives not truly lived? When there is fear, the heart closes over. We become heartless. There isn't much heart in this patriarchal world, is there? To combat the brainwashing of the patriarchy requires a great internal shift on our part. It requires remembering our ancient past. It requires coming into our hearts where truth lies. It requires becoming authentic, and in that, becoming powerful. Make no mistake, the seat of power rests in spiritual power. It casts a compelling archetype and real influence upon us all. Underneath, we are each divine, spirit made manifest into human form. In spite of the seemingly godless contemporary world, Mother God still reigns, and her love is becoming manifest on earth through us. It all begins and ends with the Mother, our Creator. There isn't a person anywhere who hasn't passed through that holy portal, the womb, where spirit becomes manifest in flesh. As Barbara Walker, author of The Crone, writes, the next phase of revelation must pass through men's rediscovery of the mother archetype, which lies deep within the unconscious of every woman-born human being. How long can we hold our tongues in our rage and our outrage? This life that molds our loving little boys into hardened war machines, rapists, and butcherers must end. Older women claiming their power, claiming our power, must step up to the plate and demand that life be life-affirming, that the vicious cycle of abuse stop. The universe continues to present us with endless opportunities in the moment to shape-shift a situation, to reframe an event, to reclaim the priorities of the heart, to call for respect and compassion for the innocent ones, for the ones who have no voice, for the victims, to bring back her story. At last, the meaning of our life becomes clear to us. A new day is a-comin', I can feel it in the air. A new day is a-comin', and we'll all be right there. A new day is a-comin', and it's made for you and me. For that brand new day it's tucked away in you and in me.
Thank you so much, Janie, for that beautiful, heartfelt performance, and welcome to Wildfire.
Thank you, Leslie. It's lovely to be here with you at long last.
Yes. Yes, your performance, I was very moved by your weaving of all of the talents that you have of being an artist and a musician and a writer and I would say a poet too, because there's poetics in it, and also the spiritual feminist warrior and a singer. I mean, just the amazing. It's unique, the amazing, unique way that you blend all of that, and it's not just a performance. My kids, they're musicians, and they say what they do is prayer-formance, and that's what I want to say, is that it was more like that, because your message is very clear, and it comes through your music and your voice, and it's quite lovely. So thank you for that.
You're most welcome. Thank you for seeing that and appreciating that. I do have a message, and it's a very heartfelt one. And so whenever I have an opportunity to put it out there, I do. I realize I'm picking up little sparkles from your mirror. I don't know what that means, but yeah, to get people to sit and sit down and be quiet and listen is really, and have an opportunity to speak to people on that level is very rare, and it's wonderful.
Yes.
I've told you I do sing in church every now and then. And that's a wonderful venue because everybody's just sitting there and they're very quiet.
Yeah, right.
And they're open to moving into that sacred space.
Yes, and
so
yes. And that's what it is. It's sacred space. You through your artistry, you create sacred space, and it's very moving.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
On your website, you have a wonderful saying that you did bring out in your performance.
Right.
So would you, to the best of your ability,
if I can still remember
if
it,
you can
yes.
remember it, would you say that for us
Certainly.
again?
When the world was at peace and love did reign, when we dwelt in the land of the sacred and revered the gift of life, when we loved our Mother Earth, we listened to the wisdom of our grandmothers.
Yes. You know, when I heard that, and when I hear it again, what comes up for me about that is, you know, our Constitution was founded on the Iroquois Federation, and what they left out, what the men left out, was the Council of Grandmothers.
Yeah.
And I think that poetry just expresses so well what happens to a people and a land when you don't listen to we don't listen to the grandmothers.
That's right.
And
we're living in it.
We're living in it.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit more about your message that you?
Well, you know, I kind of said it all, but my experience of being in this solitary place, really stepping outside the world as we know it, and having all this be revealed to me, it made me understand that this really, this was 20 years ago when this happened. So we weren't talking about quite the same things we are now. And so what I was saying was very strange in many circles. I felt not understood, but we get revelations in many different ways.
Yes.
And it was totally revealed to me that the loss of the mother, and that we must return to that space. And we talk about it here, but in daily life, the mother is not honored in instance after instance.
Yes, that's true.
And the sacred bond between mother and child is like, what is that?
Right.
As I think about when I grew up, we knew, that the connection between our mother and ourselves, it was totally important. That's what counted, what your mother thought. And your mother's at least in circumstances that I was aware of, had an ability to protect her child.
Mm-hmm.
Now the reality is, of course, that was not always the case. I mean, child abuse went on then too. It just wasn't talked about.
Yeah, right.
The word didn't exist when I grew up. The word child abuse did not exist.
No, I know. That's fairly recent, really.
The word relationship didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what a life we were living in.
Yeah, well, pretty oppressed. And even inside of that, you, in your singing about your own mother, I could feel your love for her. And even in that oppressed reality, it was there, which is really amazing, you know.
Well, I wasn't aware of that at the time. It's only come as I've gotten older and I reflect back. I mean, she was just there.
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about your sense of being a spiritual feminist warrior?
Well, yes, I feel that I talk about things that most people don't talk about or want to talk about, and you certainly do know this for yourself because you're right out there. Yes, I do it. I do a lot in my writing, and I'm an email, and I send out writings, and more, and it takes a certain amount of courage.
Yes,
it takes a lot of courage.
Yes, it does.
Takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
And the more you do it, the more courage you get. And actually, many times I don't have something that I can just, give it an example. But when I have an opportunity to point out the loss of the mother or the loss of a grandmother's wisdom in the world, many times, and I do it with trepidation. I think, I wonder if I should do this. And then I'll get back emails from people saying, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So it lets me know I'm on the right track. But it really means getting down to reality.
Yeah.
Speaking about life as it is.
As it is.
Not this whatever we're living in.
Yeah.
This kind of house of cards, this kind of superficial way of relating to each other.
Yeah.
Talking about horrific things happening in the world without compassion in your voice. There's all of that, that we're become so desensitized.
Yes, that's true.
So it's quite a path to be on, and of course there isn't any other. And I think as time goes on, we'll all realize there isn't any other.
Right.
I've often thought there will be. Eventually, people will think, or young people, I don't know what to do with my life, or I don't know. There'll only be one thing to do, and that's to heal the earth.
Yeah.
To protect where we live.
To protect where we live.
And protect the people and the children who live here.
Yes.
That's all there is.
That's all there is. That's true.
And if we don't do that, we won't survive.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more about that.
Yeah.
I also want our audience to know that Janie is a radio host on her own radio show,
KZYX.
And
Z
in Mendocino County.
In Philo, and it's 91.7. Yeah, that's one of the call numbers.
And it's Women's Voices.
It's Women's Voices, and I've been doing it for, I think, 4 years.
Yes.
And of course, this, is one of the ways that I really do get to speak out.
Yes.
And bring women from all around the country, and even I interviewed a woman in Africa, Torkin Wakefield, who's created Bead for Life, which is an extraordinary.
Yes.
And if you look that up, Bead for Life on the internet, they are bringing women, African women who have suffered horrifically in war and have HIV and their children die, and they're bringing, giving them an opportunity to make money by making these beautiful beads, and us in the United States and other places buying them.
It's
wonderful. Beautiful, and they take care of them on many levels, and So it's not just making beads and making money, but it's providing health care and a place to live. And
wow.
So it's lots and lots that these women certainly do for themselves, but they, give them an avenue, an ability to do that. So anyway, yes, and so for me to be able to speak to all different kinds of women, I've interviewed Rianne Eisler a number of times, and Starhawk, and Lorraine Murray, who is an expert in depleted uranium and speaks all around the world.
Yes, she does.
So it's wonderful for me, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And of course, in that, when I have my shows, I always take about 10 minutes in the beginning to speak about something I want to speak about. So,
Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
And I want to just emphasize that I think Janie is a role model for women who are aging, because you are 74 years old.
I am.
And I don't see you stopping or slowing down. No. And I think that it's important for women to have role models of graceful aging, and that aging is beautiful and
has purpose.
And has purpose.
It has purpose.
Yes.
You bet.
Yes.
If all the elder women who think that there is nothing left for them to do, to understand there is a lot for us to do. We are the elders. We must speak out. We are the ones to say no more.
Yes.
We can dare to do that and reclaim our power. Yeah. And what makes life work is having meaning and purpose. That's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps me young. You bet.
And what you're talking about is restoring the council of grandmothers that we need to listen to.
That's right. That is right. Absolutely.
Yeah, what greater purpose?
Yeah. That's it. Right. Oh, the things we're talking about move me a lot.
Yes, I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, this really is it. We can't pretend that it isn't anymore.
Well, no, we can't.
Yeah.
They're telling us that the polar ice caps are melting at a faster rate than what the scientists originally thought, which was 75 years, and I recently heard now it's down to 7 years. I've heard 7 years. I've heard 5 years.
Right.
Someone last night said that I was talking to said she was talking about archiving her work. She's a writer, and she said, "Well, what does it matter? It's all going to be underwater anyway." And that was just an interesting comment.
Yeah, to be woven into the conversation.
Yes,
for sure. Yeah.
So the Council of Grandmothers and that's the whole purpose of Wildfire, is to inspire women to really wake up to who we really are.
Yeah.
And you've had a journey with that yourself quite some time ago, and it seems like you've been living into that ever since.
Yeah, I have. There was no other way. I couldn't choose not to. There was no choice at all.
Yeah.
Before we...
Yes, I want to.
Yes.
I want to just say now that part of your being a role model and an inspiration is to share with us some of your wonderful art. And this is not only through ceramics, it's also through sound. So could you please tell us what you have brought?
Well, first of all, when there is a segment of seeing my paintings and ceramics and ocarinas, as people are viewing the performance.
Yes.
But these are, since there aren't any words attached, these are ocarinas or huacas, a triple-chambered ocarina. I learned to make these instruments out of clay from a woman in Berkeley, Sharon Rowell, who created the triple-chambered ocarina. The single chamber, and sometimes double, has been in existence as it's a sacred instrument. It comes from Peru, but I'll play a little bit of it. It's a very short.
It's very beautiful.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's 3 different sounds.
Well, yes, the front 2 chambers play a full scale. The back chamber plays 2 notes with the heel of the hand, and then you cover it. So you have 3-part harmony on the wind instrument, which is unique.
And it's kind of like the triple goddess.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's all kinds of, it's breasts, you could name all kinds of things that it looks like. And it's been, I make these and I do sell them, and it's been a wonderful thing. Can I give my website?
Absolutely. Well, we'll
Oh, you'll do that later. I don't need to worry about that.
Oh, you can say it. Yeah, sure.
It's my name, Janie Rezner.
Can you spell it, please?
JANIEREZNER.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Do you find that you have other women your age that you connect with the consciousness that you are bringing through?
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I've had such a unique experience in the first place. And I mean, I certainly, there are lots and lots of wonderful women where I live, and we do connect on concerns about the environment, all of that, very much. But on a spiritual level, that doesn't happen very often for me, which I wish it would.
Yes, well, I think we're coming out of such a 5,000 years of oppression, really, for women on the planet. And we're sort of finding each other, and
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I also think for myself, I think what I'm bringing in, I really am heralding the return of the mother.
Yes,
and I don't mean this in some abstract way.
No, I know you don't.
I mean it.
Yes.
She is coming back.
Yes, she is.
Not that she ever left, but she is coming back that will change this world. I've often said, we see the mess we're in, and what would it take to change it? A miracle.
Yeah.
Nothing less than a miracle.
Yes.
And I believe that miracle is on its way.
Yes. You're right. She hasn't left us. We've left her. So now I experience her coming back as through us, through women, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. And that's how she's returning, is through our own awakening.
Right, right. So that's what all I do is about, waking up to the mother.
Waking up to the mother.
Yeah.
That's something that I would like to really invite our viewers to take to heart, especially at this time, because this particular day is the winter solstice, and it's the longest night of the year, and it's auspicious that we're having
isn't it?
Time together, and that our viewers can really go deeper with what we're talking about, and really understand that even though this show, there may be things spoken on our show that people don't agree with or have reactions to, which is all fine, that the bottom line of it is that it's about the return of the mother, and that's what it is. So we invite you to wake up to the mother and listen to her. Thank you for tuning in to Wildfire, Tell a Vision for Women. Thank you, Janie, for being our guest.
Oh, you are most welcome. It's my privilege, and I'm grateful for it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Sing a song to the mother, sing a song to the earth, sing a song of hope and joy, a song of rebirth. Growing hope swirls around us inside of darkened skies, held fast on our mother's lap. We know her love will be revived. Let all who hear rejoice again. We rise up to the call, confronting evil with the truth. We open the door for all.